Noville, Belgium, 4 kilometers north of Bastogne. December 19, 1944. Morning fog so thick you could not see 20 meters. The air hung heavy, silent, suffocating. Somewhere beyond that white curtain, engines waited. Crews watched. Guns pointed into nothing. What happened here over the next 48 hours would stall an entire German armored division, buy critical time for the defense of Bastogne, and prove that speed alone could defeat some of the most powerful tanks ever built. It would also reveal a brutal truth. Armor did not decide survival. Time did. A Panther crew sat inside their tank at the edge of the village, engine idling low. The commander leaned forward, eye pressed against his periscope, scanning shadows that dissolved as quickly as they formed. The gunner's boot rested lightly on the turret traverse pedal. The loader stood ready beside a 75mm shell, waiting for a target that had not yet appeared. Then movement. A shape cut through the fog. Fast, too fast. The gunner reacted instantly, pressing the pedal. The turret motor whined to life. Hydraulic gears turning steel toward the threat, but before the barrel could align, the American vehicle fired. The 76mm round struck the Panther's side armor at point-blank range. Steel ruptured inward. Flames filled the fighting compartment. The German crew had no time to fire back, no time to escape. The American vehicle vanished into the fog. 60 seconds later, it appeared again. Opposite side. Different angle, another shot, another Panther burning. German radio operators transmitted urgent reports. Enemy armor in strength. Full division, maybe more. They were wrong. The Americans had 4 vehicles, 4 M18 Hellcats. When German situation reports from December 19th are compared against American unit rosters, the scale of the deception becomes clear. 2nd Panzer Division believed it faced hundreds of American tanks. In reality, Major William de Sabre's task force included scattered infantry, a handful of Shermans, and exactly 4 Hellcat tank destroyers from the 7th Tank Destroyer Battalion. 4 vehicles that would halt an armored division. German crews could not understand what was happening. Every time they turned to engage, the Hellcats were gone. Every time they repositioned, another appeared from a different direction. It was not armor that defeated them, it was speed. To understand why, you have to understand the machines themselves. The Panther tank weighed 45 tons. Its frontal armor was thick enough to resist most Allied guns. Its 75mm cannon could destroy enemy armor at ranges beyond 2 kilometers. The Tiger was even more formidable, 57 tons, massive 88mm gun. Armor feared across every battlefield, but both shared a hidden weakness. Their turrets depended entirely on engine power to move. At idle speed, the Panther's turret required 15 to 20 seconds to rotate 90 degrees. The Tiger was slower still. In combat, 15 seconds was an eternity, because in 15 seconds, a Hellcat could move hundreds of feet. The M18 Hellcat was unlike anything else on the battlefield. It weighed just 18 tons. Its armor was so thin that even heavy machine guns could penetrate it at close range. Crews joked the armor existed only to keep the weather out. Inside, survival depended on motion. Its engine, originally designed for aircraft, produced extraordinary speed, 55 miles per hour on roads, faster than any tracked armored vehicle of the war. It was not designed to absorb hits. It was designed to avoid them. This philosophy began years earlier. At Fort Meade, Maryland, American planners studied the rapid collapse of Allied forces in 1940. German armored divisions concentrated force, broke through defenses, and moved faster than defenders could react. Lieutenant Colonel Andrew Bruce reached a radical conclusion. Tank destroyers should not trade armor for armor. They should trade armor for speed. If a vehicle could move faster than an enemy turret could turn, it could strike vulnerable side armor, destroy its target, and escape before return fire. It was a mathematical solution to a battlefield problem. Speed against reaction time. Survival against seconds. By 1944, that theory would be tested in the fog of Noville. German columns advanced toward Bastogne, confident in their armor superiority. Panthers rolled forward slowly, scanning empty streets. Crews listened for engine sounds, watched for movement, waited for targets. Instead, targets found them. Hellcats emerged briefly, fired into flanks, disappeared into the fog before German guns could respond. If you're enjoying this level of detail and want more true battlefield stories told with complete accuracy, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next episode. The fighting intensified. German commanders attempted to reposition their tanks to cover multiple angles, but the Hellcats exploited every delay, every hesitation. Every second required for turret rotation became an opportunity. A Panther commander spotted movement and ordered his gunner to engage. The turret turned, slowly, too slowly. The Hellcat fired first. Another kill, another disappearance. Inside Hellcats, crews understood the reality of their situation. Their armor could not protect them. One hit meant destruction. One mistake meant death. They survived by never stopping. Drivers reversed at full speed, engines screaming. Vehicles raced through narrow streets, pivoted sharply, and struck again from unexpected directions. The fog amplified their advantage. German crews could not track what they could not see, could not hit what they could not follow. Hours passed. German tanks burned across the village. Commanders reported encountering overwhelming armored resistance. In reality, they were being dismantled piece by 4 vehicles moving faster than their ability to react. But speed came with a price. Hellcat crews who misjudged distance, who paused too long, or who emerged in the wrong position paid instantly. German guns tore through thin armor effortlessly. Flames consumed vehicles. Crews were lost in seconds. Speed offered survival, not safety. By the end of the day, Noville fell to German forces. The Americans withdrew, outnumbered, outgunned. But they had achieved their mission. They bought time, critical hours for the 101st Airborne Division to establish defensive positions in Bastogne. Those hours would decide the battle. The Hellcat's speed would prove decisive again months later in the open plains of Italy. There, terrain offered no concealment, no fog, no cover. Only distance. German forces retreated northward, columns stretching for miles. Trucks, armored vehicles, tanks moving towards safety. Hellcats pursued alongside them, not behind, beside. At full speed, they raced parallel to German formations, firing into exposed flanks before vanishing ahead. German gunners struggled to respond. Turrets turned desperately, but Hellcats moved faster than guns could align. Columns dissolved into chaos. Vehicles burned. Crews abandoned equipment. Hellcats struck again and again, exploiting the same advantage: speed. By war's end, Hellcats had destroyed hundreds of enemy vehicles. Their kill-to-loss ratio surpassed most American armored vehicles, not because they were stronger, because they were faster, because they existed in the gap between perception and reaction. German tanks possessed superior armor, superior firepower, superior protection. But superiority meant nothing against an enemy that could appear, strike, and disappear before a response was possible. At Noville, 4 Hellcats delayed an armored division. In Italy, Hellcats dismantled retreating forces. On battlefields across Europe, they proved a principle as old as warfare itself. Victory did not always belong to the strongest. It belonged to the fastest. The Hellcat was retired soon after the war. Military doctrine shifted toward heavier, more protected tanks. Speed alone was no longer considered enough. But the lessons remained. In modern warfare, speed still shapes survival. Reaction time still defines victory. The difference between life and death is still measured in seconds. Because in combat, armor protects you only after you are hit. Speed protects you before. And at Noville, in the fog of December 19, 1944, 4 Hellcats proved something German armor could not overcome. You cannot hit what you cannot catch. Which part of this story stayed with you?